Started. Thank you, everybody. I'm Jim Whitesell. I'm a DC in BNI Alberta North, and I am your Zoom Jedi. So a couple of notes. Please, if you would, stay muted. And if you have any questions, put them in the chat. And if we have time at the end, we can address them. So Mike Macedonio is the BNI Executive Director for the San Francisco Bay Area and is a co-founder of Ascentive, a referral strategy training company franchised in 60 locations across 23 countries. Mike was switched at birth, struck by lightning, and bitten in the face by a Bengal tiger. Well, today we're fortunate to hear his thoughts on recruiting and retraining and retaining great talent. It's my pleasure to welcome Mr. Mike Macedonio. Mike.
Thank you, Jim. And that is true, by the way. I was switched at birth, and my mom and dad will say allegedly they switched me back. I have been struck by lightning, and everything in that introduction, besides being switched at birth and struck by lightning, has been a result of BNI. Built my company internationally because of BNI, and the tiger was because of BNI. It was a referral to the founders that are saving lions and tigers. And recently, we had a tiger cub that I was with and taking care of. And I thought it would be a good idea to take him to a BNI meeting. You may want to write this down. Tigers do not like to be picked up. And I was in a meeting like this. I brought the tiger up like this, and he took a piece of my little nip at me. So that all because of BNI. Today, what I like to talk about is getting and retaining great clients. And as I start to go through this, I do want to make the point that I use the word client. It could be anything that you're recruiting for. It could be your director team. It could be a chapter recruiting for great members, okay? Or it could be recruiting for truly clients, or in my case, I was doing recruiting for franchises. I will share my own experiences. I'll share experiences that I'm working with others, and I'll even try to remember to give credit to some of the tricks and trades that I picked up along the way and who helped me out with them. So how do we get those ideal clients, those ideal directors, those ideal people on our team? I mean, the ones we absolutely love working with, the people that appreciate us, the people that see our value. They're the ones that sign the check, and on the check, they don't only sign it, they write thank you. As opposed to PETA clients. Now, BNI, we use a lot of acronyms, so I'm going to define what a PETA client is if you haven't used that one before. They're the pain in the clients. They're just the opposite of your ideal clients. They're needy, they're time consuming, they don't appreciate, and they're just horrible to work with. In many cases, at the end of the day, you might even be losing money with them. So today, what I'm going to be talking about is how do we get more of those ideal clients and stay away from the PETAs. And here's how it works. The first thing we need to do is we need to define who they are. And that may sound really obvious, but I'd like you to think about right now, and I'd like you to take some time right now to start writing down, whether it's a director you're looking for, a client you're looking for, deal members, what are some of the values that they have? You know, what are the habits that they have? This is just a short list. You know, do they haggle? You know, do they seek out experts? For me and my wife on our director team, we have a criteria. We're looking for people that are great BNI members. Right? So the first place we look is the power of one. Are they in the green? And then our assistant pulls not only that, but she shows us the Palms report. And she pulls a sponsor report. Do they sponsor members, bring visitors, bring referrals? And then finally, successful in business. You notice I've even come up to the point about what type of presenters they are, and because that is a very important skill as a director. Okay, but we want the top of the BNI members to be part of this team. Right? When it's franchising, and I hope you're writing down some of the values and things you're looking for. You know, with franchising, you know, I wanted people in the organization with a servant's heart, people that love serving and helping other people. I wanted people that were coachable. Okay? I wanted people that were entrepreneurs. Okay? And I was looking for people that already had success. Okay, success leaves footprints, and they can follow those footprints in almost anything they do. Okay? These are the ways that I was defining what my ideal clients look like. And I encourage anyone that's looking to build their staff, their team, their chapter, to clearly identify what those are. Now, I've been doing this for 24 years. And I just became aware of a success trait in BNI that I never would have thought of when looking for great members. Last year, I took the top 1% of the members in our region. We have 1,700 members. Took the top 1% that were successful in sponsoring members in 2020, and I interviewed them. And how'd you do it? And they all did it differently. Some were introverts, some were extroverts. Some had, personal motivation. Some people had external motivation. They all did it different, so they all had a different story of how and why they became great sponsors. Now, that's on my YouTube channel, and you can watch any of those videos. These are remarkable people. It's what we talked about off camera that I found fascinating. Okay? Off camera, 19 out of 20 of them all had a similar story. Well, Mike, when I first moved here, I need to get out and meet people. And I started to think about this. It's like, I would have always thought in identifying those great members, they're people that are from the community. They got deep roots. They know lots of people. And not the case. It was the people that had to come and work outside their comfort zone, go out there and meet people and do different things. And I even started thinking about that in terms of incentive. When I look at the top producers out there, Phil's not from Dubai, he's from the UK. Tom's not from Tampa, he's from Boston. My wife is not from California, she's from Michigan. Okay, and time again, I was identifying people that are willing to work outside of that comfort zone. So that became my new thing. I like people that aren't from here. Also, I'm not from here in California as well. All right, so now after we've identified, what do we need to do next? Market relentlessly. Market relentlessly. And later in this presentation, I want to show you some of the formulas I use in marketing, but whatever's working, you market relentlessly, because an empty pipeline will have you saying yes to everyone. And that saying yes to everyone could include a PETA, right? The full pipeline gives you opportunity. Many people think it's once I have a successful business, then I do it. No, it has nothing to do with the volume of business you're doing. It has the volume of your pipeline, of which prospects you're going to be working with and which ones you're not going to be working with. And I also encourage you, this could start with day one. It doesn't have to be the plan that we're going to put in place 5 years from now. And secondly, to set up your marketing and sales process to screen for the goals. And so what are we going to throw back? The water, the sand, and the stones. Okay, set up your sales process. Now, I'll give you a little insight into my sales process. Obviously, it's by referral. Now, if I got a franchise prospect that's referred to me, we're going to have a phone call. Okay? But the next step that's going to take place is they have to have an experience of what we do. And that means they got to come to me. They got to come to California and have this experience. Or it could be a workshop that we're putting on, right? The experience that they have allows them to see the content, allows them to see the culture, it allows them to see the people involved, but it also allows us to see, who is this person? Do we like this person? Do they have good values? Believe it or not, I've had people sitting in the workshops with their hands closed, arms crossed, like, I know it all. Okay, they identified to me that they were disqualified to be coachable. Right? Now, also found that in this environment, people got really excited. They really, really got excited about what was going on. One other thing that was in that sales process, and I did this 100% of the time, almost 100 franchise sales, they are coming home for dinner. Now, think about any marketing program and sales program, you know that part of doing business with you requires that they have to come home for dinner. But it was a magnificent way to find out who they were as people. It was a great way for them to meet us and learn who we are, and also to see that service and servant heart actually in play as we were serving them food. It was not the caterer. All right. In this process, we want to give that wow experience. In recruiting a director, for example, what's their first exposure to what this directorship looks like? And we want to give them wow experience. And this is some of the things that we would do, not only with prospects that we want to be directors, but also with our team. Okay? Our team right now is almost 50 director consultants. Some of them have been around for 15 years. Yeah. We want them to be connected to one another and connected to us. And I want to say that again, because it's so important. If you want to keep your team together, if you want them to stay with you, they not only need to have that relationship with you, but they have to have that relationship with one another. Right? This is one of the summer barbecues we did for them. You know, and it's about connecting them and also about making them feel special. Making them feel special that, you know, we're going to treat you like nobody else treats you, except for your family. Here's a gala event. We were sending them away after an evening, and it was raining. And again, for service, every one of them got escorted to their shuttle by me that evening and thanked for coming. And again, just making them feel special. In a chapter meeting, you know, the chapter meeting itself could be that wow experience. You know, when you're going through this process and they're like, wow, they're so connected, they're doing so much together. And then afterwards, people reaching out and asking to meet with me and getting to know me. That's the wow experience in the sales process. Now, the fourth step, you have to know how to say no. No, not right now. No, I'm not taking these type of clients on right now. And it is simple as that sounds. I cannot tell you how many times I'm working with business owners and I can tell them saying no is the last thing in the world they're going to do. When I first started franchising the Referral Institute, now Ascentive, that first year, my closing percentage was 90%. 90%. I opened 16 regions in the first year, 90% closing percentage. In 3 years, my closing percentage went down to 9%. Now you're all wondering, why are we listening to this guy? He obviously can't sell if he goes from 90% to 9%. What I was finding is I needed to say no. I needed to say, no, it's not a good fit. Not because they weren't good people. They were great people. In many cases, they just simply have the resources. And the number one resources was time. You have the full-time ability to put the time it's going to take to start the business. Okay, but being able to say no. I recently had to do that with a director consultant prospect. And unfortunately, she got oversold on being a director on our team. And she was all excited to be meeting with me. And in her mind, she was a shoo-in. In my mind, she's a great woman, a loyal member, a great attitude, a good presenter. Her numbers were horrible. And I just told her, I said, you do so much stuff well. If you put the time into bringing visitors, referrals, and you did that type of work, you'd be a great spokesperson for BNI. But without it, I can't put you on a team of the top 5% in our region. And unfortunately, she was demoralized. And she basically, in essence, maybe said, she questioned my leadership abilities. And I'll just say one thing in leadership, and you may want to write this down because my kids gave this to me in a book about leadership when they were probably 15 years old. It's an animated book. And I'm reading this animated book from my kids because they gave it to me for Father's Day. And I'm thinking, this stuff is brilliant. This stuff is brilliant. And here's the one thing that stuck with me and stuck with me ever since. You're no one until someone hates you. You're no one until someone hates you. Because if you're a people pleaser, if you're saying yes to everyone, if you're not willing to make sometimes the hard decisions, you're not going to be a great leader. Right? Now, I've told and shown a lot of people the importance of you're no one until someone hates you. And it sticks because I've had people years later call me just to tell me that they are now someone. Because someone hates them because they made a difficult decision. So, this is the formula that I use because they talk about marketing relentlessly. You say, well, where and how? And, how do I do this in a predictable way? What I'm going to show you is absolutely a predictable way of marketing relentlessly. It works for me in my company, and I've worked with other people. This is the way I get them to predictably increase their revenue and increase their sales. And here's what we do. The first thing you need to know is you need to know what's working. if you look at everything that's happening to market your business, okay, what is working and how well is it working? Now, most business owners I talk with think they know it's working. And then I ask them the next question and they realize, well, they kind of guess it. I go, no, I know. I go, good, now show me. And every once in a while they do this. So here's the sheet. I get X amount of business from this, and this is what the conversion looks like. And only once we have that information do we pass go. If we don't know, we don't pass go. We're just going to stay there until we're absolutely certain on what's working. Now, sometimes this could take 2 or 3 months of me working with a client until we're absolutely convinced. And so how do we do that? We ask. We go out there and we ask the clients, how did you first hear about me? And, it may not be what you think. You may be thinking that, well, they saw me in a workshop and they came up to me and we started doing business. Well, you didn't understand that. Well, no, actually you were referred by Jim and that's why they were in the workshop. So what was working is Jim. Okay. Now, some of you may be in front of those clients or in front of those people already, and you can simply put this into the conversation. And if you have to reach out to people and ask this question, good things happen when you reach out to your clients. And if you're going to ask that question, here's another great question to ask. What problem were you hoping to have solved before you started working with me? What problem were you looking to have solved? The words they use, the phrase they use, okay, should be part of your messaging. Their words, not yours. Okay, now I'm going to put a little caveat in here. These are wild clients you ask. You don't ask the Peter clients. You do not want to create messaging from Peter clients. You want to do it from wild people. You can ask your director team, what made you want to become a director? Which made you want to be part of this? Okay? What are some of the things that you've learned or you've benefited from being on this team? Okay? This is a critical step. Now, once we know what's working, okay, we do more of what's working. We do more of what's working. And I tell BNI members this all the time. If BNI is working, do more BNI. Now, sometimes that means more time. Maybe you're doing an extra one-to-one that week or extra time recruiting referrals or visitors. In some marketing, it means more money. But if you know it's working, you know the return on investment and it's worth the investment. Okay? If you're just throwing darts in the air, blindfold, you don't know, you're going to run out of money real quick. Right? So you do more time, more money, and then as I say, more intelligently. And I think this can apply to BNI and it can apply to other forms of marketing as well. We can do a one-to-one where it's all warm and fuzzy. We think we're having a great time. And then we learn how to do it with purpose, with intention, and we actually start making connections in those meetings. We're doing it more intelligently. My social media may have started off as a do-it-yourselfer. Maybe it's time I hire professionals to do the work. Now, in finding out what's working and then investing in doing more, we can also sometimes find out what's not working. Here's the key with what's not working though. Is it not working because it's not fully implemented, or is it not working because it's not a viable way to market our business? Let's face it, there's lots of ways to market business and they all work. I look at the marketing campaign, for example, for a visitor day. And I'll have a chapter come and say, yeah, we do visitor days, they didn't work. Okay, so what part of that thing wasn't working? Did you create a list? Did you send out invitations? Did you contact the people? Did you follow up with them? Did you give them a wow experience? And it's usually one of those steps that gets missed. That means it's not working, where there is an opportunity to do more intelligently, to be more effective. I have a little bit of a confession. When I was building Referral Institute, I got to tell you, I got into it and I was clueless on how to build an international organization and how to franchise. Clueless. And yet at the same time, when it came to the marketing, I was 100%. And I was because I was studying for 5 years what Ivan Meisner and other mad scientists were talking about on how to really build your business by referral. And then the plan was already there. All I had to do was implement it. Okay, but I implemented it relentlessly. Here's some of the things I didn't do. Here's some of the things that were not on my marketing radar. I did not have a single piece of collateral material to sell a franchise. I didn't get any collateral material. I never hired a broker. I never was part of a franchise association. I never took an ad out in a magazine. And yet my pipeline was full, okay, to expand into over 60 locations. So what was I doing? Right? Publishing, speaking, building referral sources, sponsoring at BNI conferences, running workshops. And I would do those relentlessly to keep that pipeline full. And I would keep doing more and more of what was working. And then you add one more marketing lane. Now, notice it says one more. Right? If there's one more way that you can market it, maybe it's joining a different organization. Maybe it's some paid advertising you're going to go into it. And the key is to be fully committed with the time and the resources. I tell people, you don't join a chamber to be a minnow, member in name only. You join a chamber because you're going to contribute, you're going to participate, you're going to get on boards, you're going to be an ambassador, but you have to be all in. BNI gets added, you have to be all in. If you're going to be paid ads, make sure your budget could sustain it with enough noise and long enough to get a result. I had to do this a couple of times in my company. One of the times, if you're familiar with Infusionsoft, we decided to use that as a platform for nurture marketing. And I was very clear going in that this is going to take time and it's going to take money. We're going to hire Infusionsoft consultants. We're going to have them build the campaigns for us. And then we have to distribute it out to all of the different franchise locations. It took 2 years before we got any traction with that. But I didn't add another one until that one was done. When that one was fully committed to with time and money, then went on to say, we're going to rebrand. Now you better be committing some time and money. Again, that was probably a lot of zeros and literally a couple of years before that one more thing could get added to our marketing. So finally, just read the shampoo bottle. The instructions on the shampoo bottle will give it all to you. Lather, rinse, repeat. By the way, one of the greatest marketing campaigns ever, and still is, that a soap company can double their sales just by putting on the label to do it twice. Wouldn't you love to have people buying 2 BNI memberships at a time because you told them they do better if they had 2 instead of 1? Well, lather, rinse, repeat, know what's working, do more of what's working, and then add one more marketing channel to your thing. You can go back and lather, rinse, repeat. Well, one of the passions I have is cycling. To me, an occupational hazard is everything I seem to do seems to be related to business and marketing. If I haven't shown you how to get those ideal clients and keep wow people, okay, maybe I can help you with cycling in business. Building a business is like riding a bike uphill. If it's not getting harder, you're not going up. If you stop pedaling, you will go backwards. And if you want to get to the top, you need to get off your bottom. Thank you for listening to that presentation.